Welcome to The Spin, the opinion blog of the Daily Pennsylvanian. The following is an exclusive interview with Tony Payton, who was just elected to serve as the youngest member of the Pennsylvania State Assembly. I met with Tony at Love Park, right near City Hall. However, Tony's a really busy guy, and he happens to know so many people that he meets on the street. He's a natural politician, shaking hands, giving hugs, and telling members of the community how he's going to be able to help them.
Representative Payton, can you tell us about yourself?
You can call me Tony. I'm 25 years old. I ran for the Pennsylvania State House in the 179th District, which is Hunting Park, Frankfort, and Feltonville. And the district is roughly about 63,000 people. And how I got there was I knocked on roughly about 10,000 doors throughout the process. But the story is really happened in the primary, and I won the primary by 19 votes. I won the primary by 19 votes, and the way I did that was through basically shoe leather. I decided to run because I wasn't happy with who the choice was to replace a 40-year incumbent who decided to retire, who just happened to have the worst attendance record, hasn't passed the bill in quite some time, and really doesn't show up in Harrisburg, really doesn't care, and doesn't live in the district. And the person that the Democratic Party chose to replace him was very similar to him in the fact that he didn't live in the district and really didn't understand the dynamics of what's going on and how to make a change. So I got into the race to really be an advocate for the people in the district because they've been neglected for some time. And I felt as though I had some ideas regarding public education, regarding health and safety issues such as the gun violence. It's a huge problem in my district, and also some ideas regarding health care and to make that more accessible and affordable for everyone. And the Democratic Party had endorsed my opponent, who was Emilio Vasquez, and they had not endorsed me, but with regard to the endorsement process, the endorsement was made in January, and I didn't decide to run until late February. I went out and I collected roughly about 1,000 signatures. To run for state rep in Pennsylvania, you need 300 signatures. I did, well over 3 times that amount because I knew that, oftentimes it ends up in court, and people will challenge your petitions in court, and if you don't have the correct number of signatures, your name won't be on the ballot. And there were actually 4 people that filed to run for this position, and the party's endorsed candidate, Mr. Vasquez, decided to challenge myself and the other 2. He was successful at knocking the other 2 off the ballot, and I remained on the ballot because I had 700 signatures in excess of the 300 that you need. So they were unable to get me off of the ballot. And Mr.
Did they make efforts to try to disqualify you?
Oh yeah, we went to court. We went to court before Commonwealth Court is where all the election law stuff is handled. And they filed a petition saying that I didn't have the correct number of signatures. The judge quickly dismissed it, and I remained on the ballot, and Mr. Vasquez himself ended up being knocked off the ballot. And at that point, with me being the only one on the ballot, you would think that I would have the support of my own party. But that wasn't the case. They elected to support Mr. Vasquez in an effort to do a write-in campaign. And that write-in campaign was unsuccessful in the primary, which happened May 16th of 2006. I ended up winning by 19 votes with no institutional support, just and a shoestring budget. It was just really me knocking on 1 million doors and my campaign manager, and we were able to get the support of one union, and we fielded a team for election day. We were undermanned and outmoneyed, but the people spoke. and what they really voted for was change, and they were looking to have someone that knows the district, lives in the district, and that represents their interest in Harrisburg, and I feel as though that's me.
Is it legal to not live in the district but to represent a district?
No. You are required to live in your district. You must be a resident of your district to represent the district. But, it was hard to prove that the gentleman before me, Bill Rieger, didn't live in the district because he owned a piece of property there, and he maintained, he registered to vote there, but that was not his homestead, so to speak.
Where did he actually live?
He lived further up in the Northeast. And, my opponent in the primary didn't live in the district either. The address that he was registered at was his mother's address and not his primary address. But, that wasn't an issue that we took to the courts or anything like that. The people knew, and, at the end of the day, we won the primary. And after we won the primary, we ended up in court over votes that my opponent got for committee person. So with the way that the campaign was, with the way that the election was handled, was that I received votes on the machine and he received votes on the write-in tape, which is sort of like a machine tape, like a receipt. And we had to go through and count each one of those. So after we did all the counting, we counted every vote that we could count. I won by 19 votes. We ended up in court over 52 votes he got for committee person. And the 52 votes he got for committee person, their argument was that those votes were intended to be for him for state representative because he didn't live in that particular division. And we went before the Court of Common Pleas. The Court of Common Pleas judge said to count the 52 votes he got for committee person, but there were a number of issues with that ruling. Number one, it allowed double voting. It allowed people to vote twice, and we all know that you can't vote twice. And it also basically said that the judge could read minds. He could go back and say, well, you intended to do this when no one testified to that fact. So based on those issues of double voting and mind reading, a Commonwealth Court judge reversed Judge Jones's decision and certified me as the winner. Then we ended up going all the way to the state Supreme Court on this same issue. The state Supreme Court refused to hear it because, in my opinion, it was a non-issue. A vote for a committee person is nothing more than a vote for a committee person and not state rep. And you can't come back after the fact and say, well, they meant to do something else. Otherwise, it would, the whole slippery slope of things would, it would dirty the entire election process.
And why do you think that judge made that initial ruling against you? Do you think he was working with your opponent at all, or members of the Democratic Party?
I really can't speculate on why he made that decision. I just know it was a complete aversion of the law. If you went by the letter of the law, that decision should have never been made. I don't know what his motive was or what his rationale was in making that decision, but I just know it was wrong.
And what was the name of that judge?
He's actually the president judge of the Court of Common Pleas. His name is C. Darnell Jones. So it took months to decide who the actual winner was of the 179th district, and all the while I kept pushing forward and knocking on doors and taking my message to voters. And they rewarded me November the 7th with a decisive victory. I won with 88.4% of the vote, which was a margin of slightly over 8,000 votes.